In one of our previous videos, we talked about the concept of finding your lane. So this is the idea that in the sphere of allyship, you figure out where you can make the most impactful change. So we mentioned opportunities such as showing up to protests, right? Donating, having those conversations, going through the unlearning and learning process, and so on. And those are ways that you can avoid compassion fatigue and burnout. Finding your lane allows you to realize where can you get rejuvenated? Where can you feel the most fulfilled as opposed to being exhausted? And that within itself is a journey. You may not find where your lane is in the beginning, but it's important to get there to avoid, like I said, that compassion fatigue, which can happen from consuming all of those emotions, exerting all of that effort, and then not feeling like you're moving the needle at all. And finding your lane is also valid to recognize that what someone else is doing in the sphere of allyship is valid to their experience and how they are choosing to contribute to this space. We all might be in our own lane, but we should be on the same road, moving towards the same destination that honestly and truly we never fully reach.
And with that, we want to recommend that your baseline, your very initial lane that everyone can do is just having a conversation. So you can take some of that pressure off to find your perfect, most rejuvenating lane. For Brianna and myself, we were fortunate enough to work in the education space and are now really excited to have these moments and have these conversations. But it might take time. You might try 1, 2, 3, 4 different things and different ways you're activating your allyship before you find one where you're like, oh, this is a good fit and I feel energized by the work I'm doing. And so back to that conversation piece though, in every day and every moment you have the opportunity to just bring an informed opinion. And that's why we really believe in that education starting point of learning and unlearning. And then with the conversation, you want to try to keep in mind, am I marking myself as a safe person? Am I keeping myself open so that when this person maybe asks questions later down the line, if they weren't open to my perspective initially, they'll come back to me and say, oh, I remember that they didn't guilt me. They didn't shame me. They encouraged me to think differently. And they invited me to try to change that perspective instead of making me feel that I was a bad person or had bad ideas. And so the goal with having the conversation as your very first lane is that any moment in any part of your day, you're able to step into that allyship and you're able to invite someone else in to be part of the solution instead of being complicit as part of the problem.
Exactly. And the way to have our most constructive conversations is to be learning and unlearning. And in order to learn, we must be looking at a variety of different content and resources, looking at literature that is out there, that is written by people of color, that are from people who have studied and theorized in this space. It's not enough to just consume social media. We need to go outside of that realm and outside of simple infographics and really dive into substantial material that will allow us to help us understand outside of just an individual level, but also again on a structural and systemic level. And then figuring out how can we continually infuse our conversations with this new information, with our lived experience, and then be able to advocate on someone else's behalf in the different personal and professional spaces that we exist in together. We want to thank you all for diving in with us and going through what it looks like to exercise active anti-racist allyship. We want you to remember that it's constant, it's continual, and it's a journey. And it should be a lifestyle, not just a box you check. We're all working towards becoming better humans and being able to support and then advocate for our fellow people. So keep on doing the work, keep on diving in, and we're so glad that you were able to go through this with us.
And we also just want you to keep in mind that even if you're not on the sympathy, empathy, compassion spectrum yet, that's okay. Again, you got to start with recognition, sympathy, then you move to understanding with that empathy. And ultimately, where we're still working, where we hope you'll get to, is taking action, being part of that solution through your compassion. And so we're really excited to hear from you during our live Q&A session that's coming up. Please come hungry, come with your questions, come with your uncomfortable questions you're afraid to ask. We are not going to guilt you. We're not going to shame you. We're about recognition and moving that needle forward. And so we're really looking forward to it. Have a great
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.